It all started when I was 6, and my father and I went to Lake Placid in the Adirondack State Park in upstate New York. There, we went to the top of Whiteface Mountain. Now let's fast forward 11 years to my freshman year at Hamilton College, conveniently located around 3 hours south of that very same mountain. Hamilton has this incredible orientation program, which all first-year students participate in, many of which revolve around the Adirondacks. My trip specifically focused on hiking 4 other mountains in the Adirondack Park, which were Gothics, Armstrong, Upper Wolfjaw, and Lower Wolfjaw, which we summited. And I didn't know it then, but those 4 mountains ended up being pretty significant to me. In the Adirondacks, 46 mountains are deemed the 46 Adirondack High Peaks, and if one person were to complete all 46 mountains, then they become an Adirondack 46er. Another thing to that is that at Hamilton, they have a special plaque for those that have completed all 46 peaks in their tenure at Hamilton, so within those 4 years. And in 2021, when I first started at Hamilton, there were only 4 names on that plaque. That said, I didn't end up hiking any more mountains my freshman year. I did, however, become an orientation leader, so I was going to lead incoming students to hike those very same mountains. My sophomore year, I led Ausable Hiking, a trip that focuses on hiking mountains in the Ausable region of the Adirondacks. However, we only ended up summiting Nippletop, which brought my total to 5. While I wanted to keep going and keep on climbing more of these mountains, it just wasn't really realistic for me. It's important to note that each mountain would take a minimum of 6 hours of driving just to get to and from the mountain, and also it'd take around 8 hours on a trail, and that's being optimistic. Some of these hikes could take a lot longer than that. So this wasn't a really reasonable thing for me to do as a sophomore in college. Hamilton has a great tradition called 46 Peaks Weekend, where we attempted to put a Hamilton student on each of the 46 peaks in a single weekend. For my sophomore year, I led the trip to Dix Mountain, the largest of the 5 mountains in the Dix Range, which we successfully summited, bringing my total up to 6. In junior year, I led the Seward's Range orientation trip. The Seward's Range consists of 4 of the most challenging mountains in the Adirondacks. Another issue of this trip was the terrible weather. We succeeded in summiting Seymour, bringing my total up to 7, but it was so foggy that there was no view at the summit. We then tried to do the remainder of the range, but we had to turn back as the rain made it too dangerous to continue. A few weeks later, a bunch of friends and I wanted to do a massive trip for 46 Peaks Weekend. The plan was to hike multiple mountains, around 6 actually, and they were some of the highest in the Adirondacks. Together, we climbed Wright, Algonquin, Iroquois. Algonquin right there. That's Wright, and then that's Iroquois.
We came all the way from over there.
Yeah. Gray, Skylight, and then finally we ended on Marcy.
Marcy, tallest point in New York City. New York and the state as well. The state as well, not just the city. Yeah, there's the. Guys, it's been 12 and a half hours. I'm exhausted.
You're not allowed.
In the end, we completed all 6 mountains, bringing our total up to 13. We started at 4:30 a.m. and ended at 9:30 p.m., resulting in approximately 17 hours of continuous hiking. The entire hike was approximately 19 miles with an elevation gain of around 10,000 feet. It was genuinely one of the longest and hardest days of my life. And coming off of that hike, I felt like I was making such amazing progress. 13 out of 46 wasn't too bad, and if I kept up that pace, I think it would be really realistic for me to get all 46 by the time I graduated. However, I didn't actually end up climbing another mountain for the remainder of my junior year. This is obviously really unfortunate. It made the prospect of actually doing all 46 by the time I graduated very unlikely. I mean, if you're just doing the math, I had used up 3/4 of my time and I still had 3/4 of the mountains remaining, so this just didn't seem very realistic. It's also important to remember that I was a full-time college student. I was working multiple jobs and I was studying for the LSAT, so hiking all 46 mountains in the Adirondacks really should not have been a top priority for me. However, I didn't have classes on Fridays, so that was something.
All right, it's currently 3:45 in the morning. Oh, some deer. Yeah, let's start something. Okay, Summit of Giant. It's around roughly 9 a.m. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a little windy. And just there's a little marker thingy.
Yeah, so I'm just going to save your guys' ears here. Basically, I got to the summit of Rocky, and there was no proper summit marker, but here's a map of the all trails and everything to show that I did it. But yeah, the wind was really bad. You do not want to hear the actual audio from that clip. Completing Giant and Rocky put me at 15 out of 46. And then after that, things just exploded.
It is September 15th, 6:37 in the morning. I just got to the Dix parking lot. 3.5 miles in, pretty good. But you might be thinking like, Jackson, why are you stopping here? Like, this isn't the summit. You're right. No, it's not. We're only 0.2 miles away from the summit. How forever. So yeah, I'll see you at the top. We made it, Maycomb. This little sign, little marker on like Rocky. This one actually has one. And then, it's actually sick. Yeah, South Dix, woo, 2 out of 4, let's go. It's also only 9:15, so we're kind of chilling on time. At the summit of East Dix, yeah, it's a pretty sick summit actually. And yeah, we're still facing south kind of, so it's different. The high peaks we know and love are all in that direction.
And then finally, we got Huff. I didn't want to talk too much on the summit because there are other people up there, but yeah, here's some maps and you can see everything.
It's 6:38, September 20th. Now let's go do Big Slide. Should be pretty good. And here is Big Slide. Let's go. All right, we did Big Slide. Didn't want to talk much on the summit because there's a woman up there. I don't want to disturb her time. But we're in the car by 10:56. So, Cascade Porter Trailhead is a 4-mile drive from here. We're gonna try to get that done. Okay, this is the trailhead for Cascade and Porter. It's a little staircase, that's the registry down there. All right, Cascade, number 21. Little marker right there. 360-degree summit, pretty cool. All right, here's the summit of Porter. There's no marker, because of course it's Porter. I mean, it's just not as good as Cascade. Back at the car, it's, I don't know, probably 2:20. Let's get food. Okay, it's 7 a.m. I'm in the Austin parking lot, just parked. Let's go to Colvin, Blake, and Dial. All right, is it 10 o'clock? We're on the summit of Colvin. There's like a little thing right there. But anyway, go love this. All right, that's 23, halfway done. All right, so made it to the top of Blake, and you might be a little confused because like, you know, like where's some mark or anything. So I walk over, I'm like, okay, maybe there's a trail that goes somewhere over here. And then I look down and see that. So 24, that's Blake. And this is Dial. Actually really worth it, but that took a while. That was like, I did Blake around noon. It's like 3. So wild, but you know what? It's all downhill from here, literally, so. And we are back at the car. It is like 5:45 p.m., so which means I was out there almost 11 hours.
In 4 weeks, I essentially climbed the exact same amount of mountains that previously took me 3 years. So as long as nothing went wrong, I should be able to get all 46 by the time I graduated. October 4th, things go wrong. Many 46ers consider Allen to be the most challenging mountain in the Adirondacks, and this is because it's around 9 miles of hiking just to the base of the mountain, where there's a 1.5 miles of an ascent with parts reaching a 68% grade. Also, the entire mountain is covered in this slime that makes it super sketchy and super difficult. All that said, though, Will and I were prepared for it, so we packed our overnight bags and prepared to do Allen, then Cliff, and Redfield.
All right, so if it looks like it's really late at night, that's because it's really early. It is currently 5:13 in the morning, and we're at the trailhead for Allen, Cliff, and Redfield. So it's 46 Peaks weekend, senior year, should be good. Got Will with me this time. Will, scale of 1 to 10. Oh no, scale of 1 to 100. How you feeling right now?
Fired the heck up.
There we go. There we go. I was gonna say on a scale of 1 to 100, I'm probably at like a 42 because that's the temperature right now. If you can't see my breath. It's 42 degrees.
That's why I'm so cold.
Yeah, because you're wearing shorts.
This is horrible.
So we're now on day back. So we're on like 6 miles in. This is the trail.
Trail is a strong word.
That's Allen. I have a lot of respect for the mountain. Let's just say it's we may have summited the mountain, but the mountain won this. We did not. We started hiking at 5:30, maybe 5:15 a.m.
Yeah.
It's now 2:30.
We've done 13 miles.
We've done 13 miles, and we still have to get down, which is like another 9.
It was also some of the sketchiest miles of our life.
We got Allen, putting me at 26. However, on my way down the mountain, I tripped and rolled my ankle pretty badly.
Okay, so Alan yesterday didn't go phenomenally well. Basically, I twisted my ankle upon the ascent, thought it was fine, finished Alan, did the descent, realized it wasn't, and then at that point I had like 7.5 miles to go on it, which didn't exactly go quickly. And like obviously we made it back, we're completely fine, but it just took a lot longer. Yeah, it leads to this weekend not going to plan, so once we get back to campus, pull up a computer, gonna have to reevaluate the schedule and order of things, because this definitely adds some further complications, but we'll see what happens.
Not only was I unable to do Cliff and Redfield that day, but I also had to take an additional week off to rest my ankle. This was obviously really unfortunate, as not only were the days getting colder, but they were also getting shorter. This meant that if I wanted to even have a shot at getting 46 by the time I graduated, I would need to do some winter hiking. But I figured I wouldn't have to deal with that for a little bit. And then Sawtooth happened.
All right, we're around 5 miles in. If you can't tell, it's a little snowy. It's October 16th, actually.
Despite the snow, we got Sawtooth, bringing my total up to 27 out of 46. And 2 days later, I headed back up to Heart Lake to do Phelps and Tabletop.
All right, we're on top of Phelps. Great view, actually. And here we are at Tabletop.
Another benefit of Heart Lake is the Adirondack Lodge, where I booked a reservation and spent the night. I then woke up bright and early to hit Street and I, 2 other mountains also at Heart Lake. However, I was utterly exhausted.
This is Street. I hate it here. 9 for 31. Let's go home.
However, I discovered something quite tragic. I thought I did Lower Wolfjaw when I did Gothic's Armstrong and Upper Wolfjaw on my first trip forever ago. However, after talking to my leaders, I found out that we didn't actually do Lower Wolfjaw, which meant I had to go and redo it.
Okay. Lower Wolfjaw. Let's go, Drew. Drew, how you feeling?
Feeling great.
It's a little windy. Officially at 31 now, and now we don't have anything to clean up. So let's go get Newmark down here.
At this point in the season, the weather was starting to get really cold. However, I did want to finish out Seward's Range before the end of the fall season. Luckily, 2 good friends of mine were crazy enough to wake up at 2 a.m., drive 3 hours, and hike 15 miles in the freezing cold with me.
All right. We're at Seward's Trailhead. What's the date? Anyone know what the date is?
The 10th?
It's the 10th.
It's the 10th. It's what, 6 a.m.? And what temperature is it, Zach?
It's
No,
never
no
lower
than
than
31.
32.
It's a good, 24 right now. Yeah, we're going to do Seward's. Ice, what is it called?
Congealed water.
Congealed water.
It's so hot.
It's so hot right now. Seward's. Where's the sign?
Mwah. Give the side a kiss.
32. Donaldson? Rah! There's no summit marker, but we're at Donaldson.
And we're debating the merits of Hamilton the musical.
Yeah, we're pro. I'm pro second act.
Yeah, it's boring.
And then.
Yay!
And then. We finished.
Oh yeah, what up?
How many hours? 12 hours?
12 and a couple minutes.
Yeah. Woo, that's Seward's.
Alright, I figured we'd do a little bit of a check-in. I think we're going to be done for the semester and just for the year, because it's getting cold. It's now at a point where it's kind of hard to go out there with anybody, and I'm at a point where I don't necessarily want to go by myself. We'll get the rest come spring semester. So that's 5 more trips, 12 mountains. So the plan was to hike the remaining 12 mountains in the spring season. However, there's an issue with this. In the Adirondacks, the spring season is often referred to as the mud season. And that's because all of the snow from the winter melts and makes the trails extraordinarily muddy. And this is actually very dangerous to hike on because it can really mess up the trail network and it's overall just not safe in general. So I had to time it right. I had to hike when it was cold enough that the mud was frozen and there's enough snow, but it wasn't too cold that it would actually freeze. This would allow me to have enough snow that's packed that I can hike across safely in snowshoes and micro spikes.
All right, it's around 7:30. Got the snowshoes on, got everything ready. See Marshall and Colden. So this might be my new favorite trail in the Adirondacks. Look at that. You're just in the middle of a valley. This is Avalanche Pass, Mount Marshall. All right. Oh, so that's Iroquois right behind us. I did Algonquin, Iroquois, and Wright over a year and a half ago. So yeah, finishing out this little, not range, but this little section. All right, a little update for you guys. It's around 2:35-ish, and I'm now ascending Colden on the part I believe they call Misery Mile, because it's a mile and like a quarter, and it's 2,000 feet of elevation gain. Okay, we're almost at the top. That's Algonquin right, Iroquois, and Marshall all the way over there. That's the lake we walked over earlier today. That took me like 2.5 hours, and we're almost there. It's not too much more. And here's Colden. No summit marker, probably covered in snow. All right, so we are done. As you can see, it's in the dark. Yeah, it took 12.5 hours. It's around 8 o'clock right now. 18.4 miles end up being, and I'm exhausted.
Then after another lovely stay at the Adirondack Lodge, I successfully closed out the Heart Lake area and traveled up to Esther and Whiteface, back where it all started.
All right, this is the top of Esther. I can't really find a marker. It's probably just a little covered in snow, but the all trail says it is. That's Whiteface. Gotta go do that. Anyway, that's 37. And that's Whiteface. Oh, that's the entire High Peak Range behind me. Right there. And there's Lake Placid and all the glory. It's 38, we're getting them.
Just 3 trips left and 8 more mountains.
All right, it is March 22nd around 3:50 a.m. It's over spring break. We came back a little early to get this done. So today we're doing the Santanoni range. That's Santanoni, Panther, and Kuchasadra. Not in that order, but we were doing all 3 of them. Top of Panther, there is a cairn, and All Trails agrees with me. Kuchasadra Peak, that took 2 hours. Do a 1.5 miles. There's no point in doing this mountain unless you're going for 46. Speaking of 40, though, that's exciting. Okay, I can't find the thing. All Trails said this is the summit of Santanoni. I'm gonna believe it. I need to get back down. I'm so cold. It is like 6:40, so roughly a 12-hour day. And yeah, let's go get some food and get out of these soaking wet clothes.
After 17 miles, 6,000 feet of elevation gain, losing all feeling in my fingers and toes, and 11.5 hours of hiking, our total is now at 41 out of 46. Just 5 left.
It is March 28th, Friday. So today we were doing Cliff and Redfield. All right, Cliff Mountain, that's 42. It's 1 o'clock right now, so that was started 6 hours ago. But yeah, we're on top of Cliff. Okay, that took literally forever, but here we are, Redfield. All right, it's like 4 o'clock. I need to get down. Back to the car. It was ended up being like 20.7 miles, so essentially 21 miles with like around 4,500 feet of elevation. And it took me around 14 hours. But that is 42, 43, so we have 1 trip left.
The last hike consists of 3 mountains, Haystack, Basin, and Saddleback, which are located right in the middle of the other 46. I had saved this hike for last because all of the mountains are essentially bald, meaning that it should lead to some incredible views. Also, it was around 17 miles, so I hope that would be a great balance between rewarding and challenging.
Hey, it is now May 19th, 2025. And today's a very exciting day because today we are finishing. We're doing Haystack, Basin, and Saddleback, 44, 45, 46. I literally finished my last final for college 5 hours ago. So yeah, and we graduate in 6 days. So we're really bringing it down to the line here. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, it's the middle of May. There's still 2 to 4 feet of snow at certain elevations, so we're still bringing snowshoes. But it's also May, so there's also a lot of rain and stuff. So for everything to go right today, plus Saddleback Cliffs, which are a little, we need the rivers to not be too high, the snow to not be too deep, the ice to not be too slick, the mud to not be too thick, and for me to make all the right decisions. And we are back to where we started, in the garden. Fun fact, actually, so my first ever mountain Gothics, the orientation trip Gothics, actually, so Gothics, Armstrong, and Upper Wolfjaw, we sat right there and did our leader awards, which is kind of fun. But yeah, that was the first mountain, so we're going to finish where we started. And we are at the one, the only Johns Brook Lodge. Fun fact about this place, the last time I was here was on my orientation trip my freshman year. So that was 2 days before I actually started Hamilton. I have not been back here. I wrote my letter to self, my first one, right down there. I sat right over there. But yeah, a little full circle moment. Okay, around 600 feet of elevation more to the top. This is what we're climbing.
The final thing worth mentioning before we go any further is that on the summit, the wind was really bad.
Jason, 45, one left. These are the sour cliffs. Just, you know, slightly covered in ice. Alrighty, I checked the map, and if we just came up from that cliff over there, we walk a few more steps this way. This is Saddleback, and that's 46. Man, it would be cooler if I had a view, but like, no, that's still 46. I actually don't know.
I'm not really sure what to say here. I've been after this goal for such a long time, and so many things came up that led me to believe that it wouldn't be possible. But it was, and I did it. I became a 46er.
Also, by the way, if you thought it warmed up, it didn't. I just took it off to get a better photo. It's so cold. I'm still processing. And almost exactly 12 hours. I think it was like 12 and a half-ish. We're back in the car. I'm a 46er now. That's pretty cool. I'm starving and really, really tired. I literally took a final. I was working on a final 24 hours ago, and I finished at midnight. Then woke up at 3, and now I'm here. So, you know, sleep is not much right now. So we're going to eat some food, drink some coffee, something. And, then go back to campus, and let's go graduate college.
And a few days later, I did. I became the most recent Hamilton student to complete all 46 peaks in their tenure at Hamilton. And to that 6-year-old boy who drove up Whiteface, well, I think he'd be pretty proud of the 21-year-old college graduate who finished his 46. And while I didn't really know what to say on top of Saddleback, I've now come to terms with what I've learned from this entire experience. First, there's this idea of time in theory versus time in practice. I feel like when we set goals for ourselves, it becomes extremely easy to focus just on the end goal, that final summit. However, it's important to note that that only constitutes such a tiny percentage of the entire experience. What this video doesn't show is the hours I spent on the trail, in the car, and just doing research and preparation for all of the hikes. Also, I had to make certain sacrifices in my life to hike all these mountains. And I don't regret any of those decisions for even a second, but it is important to note that the actual time it took to accomplish this goal was significantly longer than the 25-ish minutes represented in this video. Second, the importance of respecting the dangers of hiking and just being outdoors in general. I don't want to make light of the fact that a lot of these hikes were substantially dangerous, and people have gotten very injured or have even died hiking some of these mountains. However, you reduce that risk substantially if you know all the information going into it and you do all the proper research. That means knowing the mileage, knowing the ascent, knowing the weather, knowing what equipment you need and when, knowing your limits, to having other people know your route. All that said, it is worth mentioning that I'm also wilderness first aid certified, and I always hiked with a fully equipped medkit. Number 3, the importance of a good support system. I was so beyond fortunate to have an incredible group of people supporting me throughout this entire journey. Many of them were shown in this video, but to be honest, most of them weren't. My roommates, my family, my professors, all the other orientation leaders, and so many close friends congratulated me after each and every mountain. The consistent love and support you all showed me gave me the encouragement to continue, and I could not have done this without all of that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. It means more to me than you will ever know. And finally, there's this idea of purpose. As I became more involved in hiking, a friend asked me, why was I doing all this? Why did 46 genuinely matter to me when all of the views were essentially the same? And while I was joking, this did prompt me to think, why was I doing all this? I certainly did care about the views, which is why I left one of the best hikes for last. However, if that was the only reason, then why do the mountains that had no views at all? Why was 46 so important to me? Like, what was the point of it all? All these questions were in the back of my mind as I started my final hike. But then I got to the summit of Saddleback. I went to look at this view that I essentially waited 4 years and 45 mountains for, only to see nothing. No sun, no blue sky, nothing. There was literally nothing at all up there, except for me. After all that time, I got to the top of the 46th mountain by myself just days before graduating college, and my only view was me. And I think there's something to that. Thank you all for watching.